Yeah! We are here in Belize. We want to say to all of our pathfinders and master guide, yes, even the adventurers. Yeah! We are heading to Jamaica. 2 more months and a half. Come on, as we register. We want you to be there. Pathfinders in mission. Yeah! In Jamaica. Adventurers, pathfinders, master guides. Yeah! Get ready, because on the 4th to the 8th of April 2023, we will be there in Jamaica. Get ready. 2 more months and a half. We gotta be there, pathfinders.
Of our show, You Come Alive. Tonight I am your host, Aislinn Murillo, and with me we have my co-host,
Jalen Pascascio.
And Kayla Esquiliano.
and in the not so magic chair, because Kayla is sitting in there. In the magic chair tonight we have our guest,
Miss Alanah Luna.
Thank you for coming again. For those that are watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Channel 98, Twitch, we ask that you like, share, and subscribe. And go tell your friends that we are live. And we know, we know that you know that we know that this stuff is our favorite show.
Yes.
Whatever that was just now. Whatever that was.
Confused me just a little bit, but you bring it back.
That's fine. But we know that this is your favorite show. Tonight we are going into our topic, the bucket list. Mm-hmm. We all have vision boards, we all have bucket lists, we all have some type of list. We have the perfect list, we have lists for everything. But tonight we are going to dive right into our bucket list. I know that a couple years ago, one thing on my bucket list was to jump off of a plane. It's still there, and it will be there until I get the opportunity to do it.
Wow.
I was gonna do it a couple years ago, but then my sister she was too young. I was like, damn man, you made me miss my opportunity to go jump off this plane. I don't know why I want to do that, but don't worry about me. But let me ask, anybody have something crazy on their bucket list?
I would say I have something a bit crazy.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, Belizean people in specific, they don't like swimming.
Okay.
They don't even have knowledge on how to swim, even in shallows. But one of my bucket lists, well, I already did this before, but it's set for 2023 again. I want to dive Ocean way to the bottom because it's 30 feet deep. So you could free dive all the way to the bottom. So that's something that's on my list.
It's very interesting.
People would say, I can't swallow a lot of water, so no.
I can't swim good. So I stay with my foot to stay grounded. You know, grounded in a Jesus Christ. I don't know what else could happen after that. But
you know something that was on my bucket list? This was some years back, and then I got educated, and then I realized nonsense. Right? Diving the blue hole. Like the actual one, not the fake one. And then I was in...
There's a fake blue.
There's a St. Herman's Blue Hole, the inland one, you got the one where the part of the tourism thing, right? And then I was in a physics class, and then I heard about the bend. So apparently, if you resurface incorrectly, you left twist up and...
First of all,
please, no.
Question.
No.
Yeah, I hear.
You know if you swim?
I am a certified goldfish from the YWCA swimming class of summer something, right? So I could.
So in other words, you know, if you swim in a YWCA pool.
I could maneuver myself in the water and make sure I don't drown immediately.
Okay, then.
Immediately, yes.
Killer.
That is true. I don't think it's crazy. I always wanted to bungee jump.
Wow.
But I don't know what part I want to believe so I know where we could jump off and no bridge with your left twist up like what Jalen said. But if I have the opportunity to probably go out and do it, I would. But the interesting thing about this name, the bucket list, and I was thinking about it today. You know how people always say when you're dead you kick the bucket?
Yeah.
I think that is the reason why they call it bucket list. Is it because you do things where probably make you dead? Or is it just you're trying to do things? Because when you say you want to put it on your bucket list, to me it's things that you're more aim for, like you really want to do, you want to make sure you do, compared to if you have one list for say goals or resolutions.
I just think it's a list of goals that you set up through the span of your life. So it not necessarily means that you have to, you're dead. Some people do make one when they're dying so that they can explore certain things before they do die. But there are people that just make a list to have goals that they want to experience throughout their lifetime. Like, for example, because sometimes the list can be 2 years, sometimes it can be in the next 5 years, sometimes it could be in the next 10. Some people do it in a span of so much years. So it all depends. It all depends.
And I think what really differentiates, because you know you have a vision board and a bucket list, what's really the differentiation there? I think the bucket list doesn't necessarily have a designated purpose. It's a goal, yes, but it's not like, okay, it's in a progression state, like, all right, I want to go to school, I want to, you know, be a doctor someday, I have to do this to get to there. It's like freelance things, it's a random, you know what, I want to try that. Or that's something I see myself doing. It's not necessarily something that has to do with necessarily improving yourself, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the difference. There's just a bunch of wild things. I have some wild things for my bucket list, some of which I can't even share.
Oh.
Because they're wild. But we're not going to go there. But one of my next things for my bucket list is Victoria Peak. I want to do Victoria Peak. But, yeah, there are other things that from my vision board that has to conspire before we get to that crazy goal of mine.
So, question. So, with Jay saying that sometimes the things on your bucket list is kind of more freelance compared to goals, right? What's the difference? Because you can say, well, on your bucket list, you would want to do something. Let's say somebody just happens to get a PhD on a bucket list before they did. What makes you do like the bucket list compared to the goals? Like, what's the difference?
I think with your vision board, like we discussed last week, not just anything you put up there. It's practical things that you work towards achieving. Not saying your bucket list isn't that, but especially for the part of growth. So something on my bucket list, like you said, someone achieving a PhD at maybe the age of 76 before they die. There's not necessarily a period of growth for that. So it's not like it's a degree they have intentions of using. It's just something that they want to say they have achieved in their life. So I think the bucket list adds to the value of life experiences more so the growing part of life.
Or attaining goals, because normally the vision board you have a set duration on what you want to accomplish between a period of time. So I would feel as though if you're trying to attain a degree, that should more go on your vision board rather than having it on a bucket list, because it doesn't provide a set duration on when you want to achieve it.
So bucket list doesn't have a time, you're saying?
It doesn't have to. Yeah.
Okay.
So the internet is saying that the bucket list is things that you want to do or to accomplish before you die.
Right. Kick the bucket.
So,
Yeah.
kicking the bucket.
Yeah.
While your vision board is you gradually progressing to maybe a change in you. There's a difference in you.
It's a personal
There's
development.
growth, personal development.
Yeah.
There is achievements that you want to accomplish. There are things that you want to make sure that you get before a certain age, and then you have just these big dreams that you want to accomplish, rather than just waiting to be able to kick the bucket.
Okay. So another question, because Jalen, they're saying that bucket list is not perhaps more going towards self-development. That's what you're saying. So I looked up on the internet, right? And they actually said the personal development bucket list for self-improvement. So can you use a bucket list for improving yourself?
Yeah.
I believe so. Because it's still goals that you're setting, you know.
Yeah.
It's still goals that you're setting, but you just want to make sure that before you die, you accomplish them. So they're still goals, but they're major goals in your life that you will work towards regardless. Now, your vision board, things that you put there, is things that you will look at every day and say, one of these days, I am going to be able to have what's on my vision board. One of these days, I'm going to see this manifest in my life. We are going to watch God work his, whatever he does to manifest himself through me in order for me to be able to receive these things that I am looking forward to. So that's the way I see it.
Okay. So another question. Do you guys believe that God has a bucket list for us? Because you know how you say kick the bucket. So do you think God has a list for us before we die?
Jeremiah 29 says, "For I know the plans I have for you."
So I feel like, you know, because God have a sense of humor. So I feel like God have a bucket list and a vision board. And the vision board, I do not quote me on this, but if you feel like doing that, you know, just make sure give me a little shout out in the post. God have his will for us, right? So I feel like that's the vision board. Those are things that he is going to give us. And like our vision board, those are things that we want. And then the bucket list, something that might be on the bucket list, come on, say this, say, was spicy love interest for chapter 23, where on me teach you heartbreak and character development. That don't necessarily so you had to put your vision board, because on your vision board, you're looking for a stable relationship, you know, and then you get married. And then upon God bucket list, you're like, oh yeah, this one does teach you how to deal with heartbreak better. So
Character development.
character development. So I think he does have both for us.
How about the enemy? Let's slap it there.
The enemy like playing a wee face. One
But
thing
do you
about
think
the enemy.
he has a plan for us?
Of course. And he works on a plan every day. Every day, every moment of each day. Because his vision for us, we don't know for see heaven, because I'm up there, we will not get the place where I'm there.
Right.
So just before we continue, just pushing it out there, guys, with this question, if you have a comment that you would like to leave, does God have a bucket list for us? And with the other one that Aislinn says, does the devil have a bucket list for us? If you think so, you can just leave it in the comments and let us know what you feel about that.
Yeah, because we need to see where we're up here talking, we're sharing our point of view, but we need to hear what the other young people on the other side, what is your thought about your bucket list, and what you even think about a bucket list.
But going back to the question that you said, does the devil have a bucket list for us? Just like how Jalen was saying, I think he does. I think to every good sometimes, there's
It's bad.
evil and bad. The devil, at the end of the day, we keep hearing it over and over. He no wants the best for we. So if God wants to see best for us, why not the devil not push we down half our foot, make we bust up our face, right? So I think to every good, like I said, there's bad, but we have to be the ones for differentiate which one we want to check when it comes to the bucket list, right? God says he knows the plans he has for us. The devil say, you don't want to do it, I don't want to make you do it, or even if I make you do it, you have to compromise or let go of other things for reach what you want to reach.
Right. You think there is anybody in the Bible that had a bucket list? There's something on their list.
Moses.
Moses?
I think he will want.
That's the first thing
I think he will want. I think he will want to Israelites in it.
Oh, definitely.
Long time, but because they complain too much, he had to stay out there with there for fat. Jesus take
So
the wheel.
one of his things was to reach the promised land, but he never got to see it because their people were just hard-headed, brother. Yeah. Just like we.
Revolving cycle.
I mean, we have to get real with the time, because sometimes we end up walking around in this what journey was supposed to last for like 11 days. We end up walking for like 40 years because that's just not the plan.
Tower of Babel. They had a bucket list.
They have
reach heaven, and God said,
and then they reach,
it not work.
No, they're not the real engineers of the time.
God said, hold your
Then we were
hand.
reach.
A lot of different language.
Then we were reach, and then we get there.
You
That's
think
why
so?
God, I believe they would have got there.
No, if they never may reach, God never may come
God
from the
never
language.
right. God never made anything, but
Changing.
He had to stop there and be like, not too much.
right.
Not too much.
They may reach.
We have a
that
comment here
means-
after that.
That means if they may reach, then heaven not too far.
You believe?
No, it's reachable. It's definitely
But
reachable.
hard to get in.
This is the problem. This is the problem.
Anyways.
We have a comment here, Adrian. All right, straight to the Bible in 3 John chapter 1 and verse 2. It says, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. He wants us to prosper, so he has a list for us, which is true. Because I can tell one of the things where I know for a fact God got on my list. I'm not supposed to worry about money.
Right. Yeah, none at all.
God got that on my list. I'm not supposed to go through life lonely neither. God got that on my list. I promise you this. I promise you this.
Oh, got it.
I have a question for Alanah, right?
Alanah.
Do you think that our bucket list can make us become motivated, and how?
It can make you motivated because once you have a list and you place each one of those items there with intent to complete it, then I would say even if you set a duration for each one of them, that would provide you with more backative and more motive to complete it. Because at the end of the day, you don't want saying, oh well, I just write all of these things for no reason, just to waste my time. So I would say it does motivate you, and like what you guys mentioned before, it does promote self-growth, because then you attain all these things after a specific period of time, and you could look back and say, man, I did all of this, so I could do more than what I actually placed on this list.
Okay.
Kayla, you were about to say something just now.
I was referring back to the thing that Jalen was going. Adrian said, and Jalen said as well, when it says God have plans for us to prosper, and one of the main words that help. So, is it we're being disobedient when we're not choosing to be healthy or eat healthy, right?
Wow.
So you ask me if we choose to be disobedient.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
But
our
Be
body
honest
is
with yourself.
our body is the temple, and we choose to do what we want it. But of course, we're being disobedient I'd be disobedient.
So when it comes to the bucket list and being prosperous, God says that He wants us to be in good health. He wants us to prosper. Jalen said as well that he knows two things that are on his list. That he know that money and a relationship is on the list. So let's say that a relationship, let's say a husband or a wife, is not something that you find yourself at the age of 40 not reaching.
But then
or
you're talking
attaining.
here, so you have to say wife, because that's not only here the talk.
Okay, fine, sorry. Let's say you reach 40, God forbid, right? And you not find that person. You feel like your bucket list or having that someone is something that God does not want you to have.
You know, anytime I get a question like this, I can remember, was it Sal, who was single forever? I'll make sure I get the correct name for next week. But the gift of singleness, Jesus. I feel like that are for God's stronger soldiers, you know, not necessarily for me. Not saying, you know, I did punish without somebody's data, because couldn't be me. But it's funny because we tend to put on our bucket list or vision board a timeline for these things.
Yeah.
So what if God decide that, I saw this on TikTok, what if you're single because God is preventing the person from being hurt by you or something like that? So maybe, you know, I would be in my 40s and God still think I'm ready for being a proper husband, so to keep the spicy love interest for me. Who really knows? So, like we said a few weeks back, God has His timing for us, and, you know, as much as we want to achieve these things in this timeline, on my vision board by 35 I should be married, we'd have 2.5 children in my house, mortgage paid. God might say, all right, bet. Then until 50 you want to find your love of your life, Jalen, I will have a problem, but that God lists that.
Yeah.
You know, a
Yeah.
friend sent me today a video saying, what is your plan B if you don't get married? I will not tell you what my response was.
Wow.
But, like you said, the gift of singleness is not for me.
No.
It is definitely not. I love to have quality time with the people I love and care about. And if I could love that quality time with their people, then imagine quality time with somebody that is
Designed for
Yeah.
you.
that's
designed,
true.
right,
This is
designed
what I'm
for me.
saying. This is what I'm
You
saying.
know, the one where they take the rim from, for me, you know, that right there, so.
Funny. We have
Marry
two.
me.
We have two comments here because Adrian, load way up. Adrian said, Joseph, God had one for him to become ruler of Egypt, to help his brothers, even though it was tough. Ooh, that's not a good one. Because I don't think, you know, Joseph
That
had
was
his.
personal development, because you feel like after they just sell you, you can spin back around and be nice.
No, God definitely made it do something. He made it do
Work plan after
something, very much something, because that was wild. Joseph knew that his vision was, you know, to be above the rest. You know, fine, I think that too. But who could have been telling that to me? I forgot that the very bottom before I reach the top. Damn. The next comment says, sometimes God's bucket list isn't easy, but He has a purpose as to why it's a challenge process for us to trust Him.
Yeah, that's
Very true. Very true, because if Joseph never trusts her, he come and punk out in jail and be like, you know what? Frig day. Happened today. And even when he get a chance with the brothers, he can be like, you know what? Y'all gonna pay for the times y'all did to me. It's payback time now. You
Yeah.
know, so
You never make them suffer too much though. So you never made it be too petty.
it never be too petty. You know, a little pettiness, it's a part of character development.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Yeah, so
Fine.
You know, it's time for us to go on a break right now.
Wow.
So let's sit back and don't go anywhere, right? Because we will be taking a break and we will be right back. On call a break.
You might be asking, who are Seventh-day Adventists? Commonly known as Adventists, we are a Christian movement established in 1863. We have 28 fundamental beliefs and more than 20 million members. We also observe the seventh-day Sabbath. Worldwide, we have more than 162,000 congregations. We serve countless communities with our education institutions, with 2 million students. And 198 hospitals around the world. And it's all because we love Jesus.
Hi, I'm Pastor Elario Davis.
I'm Pastor Denny McCullough.
We are the hosts of your Bible study series, Words of Wisdom. In 2 Timothy 3:16, God reminds us that all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof,
for correction, and for instruction in righteousness.
Words of Wisdom is a specially designed program brought to you by ATN in an effort to share the Advent message to our friends and faithful viewers who are yearning to build a growing and saving relationship with Jesus Christ. If you want to learn more about our rich Adventist heritage, basic fundamental beliefs, counsel on courtship and marriage,
or simply a deeper study of God's written word, then join us Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. on our Facebook and YouTube pages, as well as Channel 98 on Central TV. Join in and be a part of this special Bible studies effort by praying that God continues to lead and bless this ministry, by becoming a faithful viewer and inviting your friends and family to like and share our programs, by your kind donations and of course your generous financial contributions. Contact us at 416139351 or send us an email at atn@cbm.belizeunion.org. We are located at 10 3/4 miles Philip Golson Highway. Thank you for being a part of the ATN ministry. It is our prayer that you will keep the book of the law always on your lips.
meditate on it day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to that which is written therein. Then thou shalt make thy way prosperous and have good success.
Welcome back, guys. We'd like to thank you all for staying with us through the commercial break and being back with us here. Before we went on break, we were talking about the bucket list, where we talk about things that we have on our bucket list and probably we want to do, and also God's bucket list for us. Before we went into the break though, I have to read this over again because I wanted to say something. Adrian said, sometimes God's bucket list isn't easy. but he has a purpose as to why it's a challenge process for us to trust him. I think that is very true. Do you think that bucket list just allows us to trust God? Does it have any other qualities that comes along with it, or it's for us just to sit and wait like what we talked about last week?
Well, I have never heard of us as, I've never heard Christians like that made bucket lists unless they're on a deathbed and they're about to, okay, I would like for my entire family to come and they would like to do a pre-funeral, like say all the good things you want to say to me at my funeral.
Also,
so
like
I
a
know,
live weight.
Right, like that.
First time I hear
So
something like that.
you will see people doing these things like that, and then you will hear them asking for some weird things. Bring my enemies so that I can ask for forgiveness. You'd see Christians doing things like that as a bucket list, but for them to actually have one, I've never seen it. But people out there that does these motivational talks and whatever, and they will have these seminars. You will see people having these bucket lists, and one of them would, like, for example, I want to go to one of Tony Robbins' show and walk on glass and have that experience, or I want to go to this place and experience that. Things like, things like that. So maybe there's a difference between what we do as Christians and what I would say the outside world would do when it comes to that.
I would say as well, my granny always says to me, something good never comes easy, and I feel like it applies to all situations, especially, with your bucket list as well, being a Christian as well. If you're waiting on God to do something for you and you fast track that process, destruction it'll come eventually. So I feel like it builds on your faith as well. So, I just believe that in each situation, no matter how much you're tested, you just have to remain, firm in what God has planned for you and your purpose.
Right.
We make a think about, as you said just now, that it come with a consequence. Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael. I'm pretty sure Sarah had put her bucket list to be sister wife, I guess. Share the man.
But
and
that's
say,
not where she want that it was. Oh yes.
no, that she set it up. She literally
What a way.
called the girl and be like, listen to me, right? This is the way I do. And I don't want you to catch no feelings in my man. You just want to spread your legs and dig. And then look what happened. Abraham had to send away his son because he made drive fast-paced God's process.
And I just would have said that is an example of going past or trying to check off everything on our bucket list without waiting on God. Because if Abraham and Sarah may just wait, probably just 25 more years, then they would have eventually have a child and not have to deal with the other wife.
I mean, because think about it. They may already wait so long. How much later could it be? What more consequence may I have? Since we done past the prime my life.
That story always bamboozle me because you already hear God tell you what do this. It don't promise you this. You don't get old, but still, he said you will do this. So why not just believe it? If God will tell me right now, like Aislinn, this will happen, you don't think I may wait? If I hear it with my own ears from him, I would have waited. But Sarah, whatever her name is,
The two ladies the same thing.
yeah, when she sent the maid in, when the outcome was what she had expected it to be, then she became very angry. That's why she sent So then why would you get upset?
Stupid.
Why would you get upset if you know that would have been the outcome?
Right.
Why would you get upset?
Listen, like when Kayla asked earlier if I will end up being single till I 40, God tell me it is not good for a man to be alone. So why are you going to hurry for getting a bad relationship and now it's estranged, we don't live together but we're still married like some people. But and then you're not happy, and then what happened? You then rape the court to get a divorce because you never wait upon God's timing.
And I had a divorce paper prettier than the marriage certificate.
If it's true,
Anyways, read up with me. Not enough for me to
Let's not go get it just because it's pretty.
Yeah.
But so do you think when it comes to our bucket list, we should, just like goals and other things, we should make our petitions on our bucket list known to God so He can, you know?
Well, it's still a goal, and God said, "Bring your desires to me, even your wants. Bring it to me, and we could converse about
Come,
this."
let's reason.
You know, come, let's reason together. And so God is not an unreasonable God. So if we have a bucket list, we don't have nothing to do with our spiritual life, without this, without that. You still bring it to her because it's still a part of your life, and He cares about every single portion of it.
that is true.
Adrian posted in the comments, he said, at times we have our bucket list, but when we allow God to sort it out, it makes it even better. The verse here is key. In Proverbs 3:5-6, it says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not on thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy path. The last part says, He shall direct your path. So if you bring it to God and God tell you, I don't want you to dive, I don't want to bungee jump, I don't want to jump out an plane, and I don't want you to go swimming in and I don't hold on a vex.
You want no.
I don't vex because if he tell me not to jump off and I play that, something will happen to me if I go jump off. No, because all four of the things that we want to do right now, that's so
like
daredevil crazy.
It's very pushing the limits.
That's pushing the limits. That's really having our angel on the go borrow other angels.
Wait, watch this one here. Check this out, Gia. Watch your too. No, I don't think it's like that. I think they want try convince you not to. But
Before
if
even
you
attempt.
do take that step, then it's not in their hands anymore.
Like what I say, hard is pick me feel, so that will be your fortune as well.
But I really like the last part, just as Adrian was saying, He will direct your path. So just as I was asking, I think when it comes to our bucket list, yes, sometimes we have daredevil stuff on it. Sometimes it's more easier and laid back. But I think just like our resolutions, just like our goals that we talked about, just like our vision board and now our bucket list, we should make everything known to God and let Him go through it with us and be like, no, I know the fool in this, and you better take this off your list. So I think everything we just need to trust and allow God to see us through.
Right. There. I found here some benefits of having a bucket list. It said, the first one says, it forces you to look at what you really want.
Okay.
It gets you excited.
Right.
It creates focus. It motivates you. It pushes you. It pushes the boundaries. Your comfort zone.
Right.
In other words, it pushes you out of your comfort zone. It makes you feel accomplished. It makes you more interesting. It keeps you active.
That's true.
It creates a legacy. And it allows you to dream bigger.
Yeah.
And I do agree with that.
Yeah.
So, for us to have this bucket list, everything you do, you have to have a good feeling about it. Because I strongly believe in the energy when we set in or something. Mama always tell me, anything we fight over, I always come crashing down. And I'll give you an example. We have this dog, right? We have two dogs. One named Blaze and one named Dover. Dover and Blaze ma. Blaze tear up everything in a way. Put a sofa on the veranda over the next side. Blaze eat out the middle of the sofa.
Wow.
Beat that. Blaze literally tear every single thing you put in a way. They put up the Christmas tree downstairs in the yard. Blaze tear off all the ornaments off of it.
Wow.
Blaze is just a lot. Me, my pal, Jana, everybody always they real about Blaze. And then we wake up Sunday morning and Blaze was dead.
Oh my gosh, you see?
I don't know what I'm going to expect, but that.
Listen, Mama always say, anything you fight over always come crashing down. And it is the truth. And I have experienced it in many different forms. And so it is what is the energy, it's the feeling that you put within your good.
That me kind of Jessica is
With
the dog. I mean, because
condolences.
Wow.
That's take a drastic turn.
I'm so sorry, guys, but
God said it'll give you more than we can handle. So I guess he understand that you guys couldn't deal with the dog, so he had to gain another.
God call her home.
Well, Pana, not
dog heaven.
well, Pa, next note, we could lighten up the situation. Well, this is kind of deep the same way with relationships because, like what you said, that's a part of your bucket list, having a healthy, thriving relationship. And in similar situation to the dog, if you consistently chase this person, fight them for attention, fight them for love, you know, I would say you're asking for the bare minimum. And if you continue trying to get them things that you're supposed to receive naturally, it tears you down.
Right.
Your self-esteem, it goes down. You're not as confident as before. So I feel as though once it's not destined for you and you continue to pursue it, it'll lead to destruction, basically.
You still up on a dog. Wow.
I can't get him. But
Poor Blaze.
I was going to say, just after Aislinn and then she went to the dog, I think sometimes going just back to when the Bible verse says trust in the Lord, I think we have seen many times in the Bible where people try to went ahead of God and things destruction, right? Some names come to mind, but for some reason Saul came to my mind. He tried to do his own things, and you know, in the end God tell her, well, cause you want your own thing, you can't stay here no more. So I think if we want to have goals and purpose and be who we want to be and be someone that is out there and strive for the best, one of the things that we need to be is one, obedient, and two, just hold fast, like just wait, patience, it will come to you eventually, not just go ahead at the game.
That's true.
We have a comment here from Adrian. In the production room, please top fan Adrian if he's not already. We got a real MVP tonight, Adrian. Adrian says, remember when the devil told Jesus, throw yourself and the angels will catch you so your feet don't tread on stone. The devil tempted Jesus in that regard, but Christ didn't jump. So it's like you know the dangers that are ahead for doing certain things, and you tell yourself, Jesus will send his angels. No question, would he? Wow. Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, God got my back. One thing. He's planned for me to prosper, so why would God allow me to end up in something drastic if I decide to jump in at a blue hole?
So then you don't know enough of those simpleness as well.
Then if his intention for you is to experience the blue hole, then he would make all the necessary precaution and have everything just line up perfectly for you. It might not seem like that it's lined up perfectly, but he would, at every step of the way, there will be something there that will give, I call them little jewels as you're going along, where somebody come and drop you a little, motivation, or they drop you something that will help you to get to that goal. And so you will know that, okay, because one thing, once you have a plan, and you want to be able to launch this plan, once people start validating it, once people start to encourage you, once door starts to open, in fact, not even door, the whole rooftop will blow off.
Yeah, right
once
away.
it is God's plan, you are still in validation for that plan.
I think sometimes it's just like when, parents tell their kids, no go over there, no go outside, go play, no do this, no do that. You still end up, they cut up your knee. You still end up going in the kitchen, get your hand burned by the iron or the stove. I think it's the same thing sometimes with God. He tells us, don't do it, or he tells us, be careful, and then because it's a power bucket list, because it's exciting, because they are giving one name, because we are being known for it, we just jump into it and then we expect not to have consequences.
Right.
It's like the saying. Oh, you go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
It's like the saying, and it go back to what Aislinn said. Nothing easy comes without fight. They always say, kicking against the prick. Only one thing happen, you end up get joke, right? So like you said, also Aislinn, nothing that God has planned for you will present difficulties. They will present challenges.
Right.
But it's a very fine line between challenges and difficulties, because God wants to refine us in whatever process He puts us through. But it won't be something that will keep knocking us down every time. I will still get up and be like, you know what? No, He never mean that. I could try it again. No. Catch on, stupid. That's not what He meant.
Right. Piggybacking off of what you just said just now. Not because this whatever idea or plan you have, not because you get a little burn from it, means that you're not supposed to move forward. Because how do you think we get olive oil? The olives has to be pressed. How do we get diamonds? They have to go through the refiner's fire in order for it to be purified and then come out back. So it doesn't mean that we're not supposed to go through it because we're getting burned. Well, the challenge presents itself, but it just means that, okay, when this challenge presents itself, then there's a lesson. You must move with precaution. Then there's something else, a bigger one is supposed to come, and then what you're supposed to do, learn that lesson for you to move forward. You're going to get the road signs along the way as you're moving towards your goal, because God wants you to get some lesson from it, because you can't just move through a situation and not learn something. Then what was the purpose of it? You have to have a purpose behind everything you do. So having a bucket list, what's the purpose of your bucket list? Is your bucket list to glorify God? Is your bucket list to glorify yourself? Is your bucket list to gain you a name? Is your bucket list to... And you ask yourself, what is the purpose of this bucket list? And then you are going to know why you're going to be moving forward. Until you have that purpose, then you will be able to get headway with that list of things on it. Or it makes you excited about it.
It's like what my mom usually says, nothing in life that is too easy, because the Christian walk is not easy. Once you start feel too comfortable and things, they're too good, like it's too far to reality for be real, stop and question something, because that not sound correct. That not sound correct.
That's true. And going off of what you guys said just now, just like what Aislinn said, I think sometimes the things that we go through, it's character building. It allows us to trust. It allows us to have faith. Another thing is, I feel like sometimes we want to go through life or goals or resolutions or bucket lists by ourselves. Sometimes God knock we down to make we get back up and say, God, let's go with me. You understand? So I think sometimes we feel that, oh, because it's something here and we think it can be easily done by ourselves, we can do it. And then when we get knocked down, we're like, I don't want to do it again. Or we still go for it again, and then it's a multitude of getting knocked down. But then sometimes God is knocking you down to say, look, ask me for help, and I want to point you, and you want to get through it good.
Yeah, and I think also what is, most people's issue, I used to have this perception as well. Allow me to make my own mistakes, but life doesn't go like that. Because I feel like, oh, I'm super independent. I don't need God in nothing. I don't need to have him consult him with anything. Whatever I want to do. And majority of the times when I do, do whatever I intended to do, it was a waste of time, a waste of energy. My granny she always tells me, I'm not telling you this just to dictate how you should live your life, I'm just mitigating possible risks in the future. So I would say it's likewise how God deals with us. Don't make the mistakes just because you should live your life, You should come to me and ask me for, advice. Have discernment in all situations as well with my help.
Mm-hmm. Proverbs tells us that fools learn by their own mistakes, and the wise see the experience of the fool and move differently. So I am one of those people. I learn from my own mistake. Foolish girl.
Hey,
but God loves when you look to him when you're at your lowest.
A mistake is not doing something wrong the first time. Is making the same problem again is where it becomes a mistake. So it might be a lesson from God. It might not necessarily be a mistake. But if you go and do the same thing again and expect a different result,
it's called insanity.
It's called insanity, and no one wants to be insane.
That's what most people deal with.
Yeah.
It's a repeated process. They deal with one problem over and over and over again.
This is where we know, you could read Adrian.
God will never abandon you. For instance, a typical example, many seek divorce because the thought comes that it was never God's will for us to be together. True. But God will abandon a relationship regardless if you didn't listen at the beginning. If God can turn water into wine, what you think he can do with marriages that some believe wasn't his will? Very interesting thought. Even when we create our bucket lists and go against some of these lists that God doesn't approve of, God in his divine grace shows us his love, that he shows us mercy, but only when we acknowledge we need him to step on, for when he steps in, everything makes sense.
Yeah.
That is true. The part about water to wine on the relationships, we are going to come back to that one. We're going to come back to that one.
Sadly, we only have a minute, guys, so who wants to start first?
I'm going first. You have your vision boards and you have your bucket lists. And in the process of creating them, you want to be practical. You want to, experience things in life. You want to achieve all of these things. But having no direction, no input from God, no discernment on whether these things are going to be achievable or they are going to plague you as things you've never achieved in your life, it is important that we seek God with them and reason with him, and he will work out things, because who knows, maybe God no want to go to the blue hole, but maybe he wants us to trade places with Aislinn and jump out of the plane. Who knows? But if I don't consult with him, how would I know? So consult with God with your plans. Make them known to him.
Yeah. And I would say as well, you have to be intentional with what you're putting on your list. Like what Jalen said, it has to be practical, it has to be achievable, and also create a duration for the plans that you have, the list that you have. Because once you don't set a duration or a specific time limit, you'll become lackadaisical and you would slack off the list. So I would say be intentional in what you're doing, especially with the time.
Just as I basically agreed with everything everyone said, just like Jalen said, you consulted God. I think at the end of the day, just like what we've been keep saying about the goals, resolutions, and the bucket list, you just make them known to God. Talk to Him about it. Ask Him, God, that this you want, or like He said, do you want me to swap it out for something else? Trust Him, trust the process, have faith, and wait, because we see many examples of people that did not wait on the Lord and things turn out bad, or sometimes people feel like it turns out good, but later on down the road, that situation end up to be bad.
The blessing turns on curse.
Yeah. So I think we just need to wait on the Lord, for He keeps promising us that He doesn't want to harm us. He doesn't want to allow anything to hurt us. He will protect us, and He knows the plans for us. So if we have on our bucket list things that we want to do, just make them known to God, and He will do the rest.
I have two quotes here. The first one says, the goal is to die with memories, not dreams. And then the last one here says, stop dreaming about your bucket list and start living it. We all have our list that keeps us going, but I want to encourage you to be intentional about what you put on your list, because your intention is what's going to build those excitement that will fuel those prayer, that will fuel, and then the prayer will fuel your hope, and your hope will fuel your dreams, and then that's when faith kicks in, and then that's when everything will start happening. And so my final words to you is to just be intentional about your list. With that said, and we are out of here, and we will see you guys next week with a brand new series, and it is going to be the Love Month. Anybody get flowers and chocolate?
I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna talk about it. Let's not speak on those things.
Let's see who is going to, and it's going, and the love thing is going to happen on a Tuesday. Oh no, deliver my gift there, right?
Yeah.
So we have a
Yes.
special program, something coming up that we guys would like for you guys to do, but we are going to post that later on and talk about it next week.
So make sure you're following the page.
Make sure you're following us so that you guys can participate and you have something to win. See you guys next week, same time, same place. Tell a friend to watch. Goodbye.
As a non-profit organization, the Adventist Television Network solely relies on your financial support. By partnering with us through a monthly donation, you will help us to continue to fulfill the mission in taking the gospel into all the world. For more information, please call 613-9351 or email us at atnfin@cbm.belizeunion.org. Thank you for your prayers and support of the ATN ministry, and together we may hasten the soon coming of our Lord Jesus Christ.